Did everyone join the Google Meet?
Yes.
Okay. So where were we before we stopped?
Package log.json.
Yeah, so we deleted the node modules
Yes.
and then we reinstalled them using
NPM.
npm install. Thank you.
Can you share screen,
Not
please?
sharing.
Am I not sharing my screen?
And if we clone a repo and we try to npm start it and it didn't work, we only install npm and then work. npm start.
If you do npm install, it should work. If it doesn't, يعني في مشكلة تانية. Okay, so we reinstalled all the packages that we have here in the dependencies, which regenerated our node modules folder. I'm going to delete .git folder, okay, because we're gonna re-initialize Git. So let's do that. How do we initialize Git? Git init. Thank you. So when we initialize it, it gives us a message saying initialize the empty Git repository in mabarifwen.git. Okay, and then we will see that we have 18 pending changes. You can't see, but okay. So we have something called package lock. Whenever we npm install, it also creates us a package lock. There is something other than npm called yarn. I think someone had a presentation about. So if you use yarn, you're gonna have a yarn.log file or yarn.something. Okay. Since I'm using npm, we have a package log JSON. So whenever I want, I can delete the package log JSON, and using npm install, it will regenerate it. This acts almost like, you can think of it as a cache for package JSON. Okay, يعني to not every time reach to package JSON to the passport of the project. يعني واحد هوية واحد رخصة سواقة. Okay. We go to package JSON, which is, it gives us the identity, the detailed identity of the project, blah, 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 blah. But we can delete it and reinstall it by using npm install. It will regenerate it. Okay. We have something called git ignore, which is provided by Create React App by default. When you're gonna work with Node.js and backend, it's not provided. So we need to understand it in order to know what it does, in order to use it. So what is git ignore? Any file that is in the git ignore file, .gitignore, will not be pushed to GitHub. Okay? So if you see now, we have something called node modules. If I remove this line and you check the source control, how many changes I have, you will see that how many changes are going to go to GitHub. It's calculating, and then we will have 5K plus changes going to GitHub, which is not good. It's still calculating, maybe even more than 5K pending changes. And we don't want that. So I'm still waiting to see how many changes we're gonna have on GitHub if we push node modules. But it seems like too many, right? It's still loading. So I'm gonna return node modules to the git ignore in order not to push it to GitHub. And I already explained why we don't push things to GitHub. It's because we don't need to push it because other developers can install it using npm install. That's why even some developers don't push package lock. Okay? Why? Because whenever you do npm install, you will have package lock. We also have some other things like env, which you are going to see later on. Env are environment variables that are variables which are very top secret. We don't want to push it to GitHub. So we put them in an environment variable. And we have environment here that we don't push to GitHub. You will see it later. Okay. We have our public folder. Everything in the public folder is public. So anyone can see it. So when you're working with icons, images, public data, blah, 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 you can put them in the public folder. And then you will be able to reach them. Let's say you have an image, you can reach it using image source, and then you go slash the public folder. Okay. And then we have the most important folder, which is the SRC, source. The source folder is the source code of our project. So we have index.js, app.js, and some other things. The most important one that you are going to be actively using is app.js. Okay, it's the actual project. So index.js, it starts a root DOM, virtual DOM. Who can tell me what's the difference between a real DOM and a virtual DOM? Can you?
Because my classmate did a very good job explaining. Okay, so a virtual DOM is the DOM that. I hope it's right even. Okay, so we have two DOMs. There's a virtual DOM and the real DOM. The real DOM, whenever we do any change, it's updated on the virtual DOM. After it is updated on the virtual DOM, they track the changes and accordingly they update the real DOM. So the real DOM is the website and the virtual DOM is what receives changes that we do.
Yeah. Thank you. So the index.js creates this DOM, creates the document, creates everything in the project. And inside this everything, we have the app, which is an imported component coming from .app, ./app, which is this one. So everything here, it's almost as if we wrote them here. Okay. We have app.css, which is the CSS for app.js. It's imported here. We have app.test, which is, if you remember npm test, npm run test, this is what's gonna run if we try npm run test, but we don't need it for now. We have index.js, we have index.css, which is the CSS of the index, and it's normally, as you see, it's body related and code related. So it's very like a global CSS thing. We have the logo.svg. We have some things that we can delete. They are important for testing and reporting back to create React app, blah, blah, blah. So we don't actually need them. So whenever you start a project and you're not gonna do any tests, we can delete setup tests, we can delete report web vitals, and you can notice how easily I'm deleting them without being afraid, because whatever happens, I can do npx create React app again and nothing will متخلص الدنيا. We don't need any tests, so I'm gonna delete them. Are we gonna use the logo? Not really. So we are gonna delete it.
May I know what's app test?
App test, do you remember when in the beginning of the session, when we were checking package JSON, we have npm run test?
Yes.
npm run test will run these tests that will ensure that what we're developing is being tested by the rules that we put. So let's say you're creating a component and you're the senior developer, I'm the junior developer, okay? So you wrote some tests for this component. You're telling me this component should have 2 divs, 1 h2.
So there are the conditions that we
Yes, exactly.
it's
whether the code is compatible to the app test or not.
Yeah, exactly. So if the test passes, when I upload my code, you don't need to check it line by line. You run the test, it fails. You tell me, hey, test is failed. Go back to the code and make it work. You know. So we only need index.js, and since we deleted report web vitals, we can remove it from here and save. Since we also deleted logo, so we don't need it here. So we're not gonna use it in here as well.
Okay.
And we don't need all this header actually. Let's go hello world. And let's do npm start to start the project. And now we had Haidashi. And when it starts, we're gonna have a problem.
Down.
Yeah, the web vitals. Okay. And now we're gonna have hello world. So we can start with a fresh, nice looking project.
Nice.
Okay. So this is React in general. Do you have any questions before we carry on into more details with some arrays and components and props and blah blah blah?
You
Let's
work,
start with the arrays
you
component.
work in index.js.
No, we work in app.js. Okay, let me close
Yeah,
that.
our work will be
App.js.
CSS
App.js.
object.
App.js, app.css, and the components. So now let's do some live coding. Since we have the app.js and we have hello world inside, as you can see.
Just a question, are you recording?
Yeah, I think so.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah. So since we have hello world here, but if you look at at bigger projects, let's say you have multiple pages, you have multiple components, header, footer, hero image, the app.js will become too big, right? So it's not advised to put everything in one file. لأنه if you have a problem with that file, you will not find it, right? So instead of writing hello world in here, let's create a small component. So this component, we will call it card. In order for us to create a card, I'm not gonna have the best CSS today because we're not gonna waste time with styling, but we're gonna have some time to create a component. So usually, when we want components, we go inside the source, we create a new folder, and we call it, you guessed it right, components. Okay? You would also have a new folder for the pages that we have, or screens. You can call the folders whatever you want, but it's always best to call the folders and everything with good namings, so other developers wouldn't curse at us, right? So let's call it pages. And we're not gonna have today anything in pages.
Pages of what? What we're creating of what?
No, it's a folder. It will contain the pages we will have, like about us, contact us, users, list, ما بعرف شو, all the pages that we're gonna have in the project, but we're not gonna do that today. We're only gonna create a component, okay? So in order to create a component, we go card.jsx, and you notice that I have capital C. Usually components are called with capital C,
Yes.
with capital letter. You can call it like small c, but it's gonna be problematic and people will not like you anymore. So components, card.jsx, it opens a new file. And in app.js, I am going to call this component that I created, card. Okay. Now, this one, if you go RAFCE, if you have the extension, you go enter, it will create you the component. Okay. And this extension is called snippets. Yeah. So I save this. Now I go back to card and I import it. By the way, if you go control space, it will tell you some actions you can do with it. So if it's not imported and you go to your card and you go control space, add import from ما بعرف شو, so it auto imports it. Okay. So now we have it imported. In card, instead of saying card, let's try to do hello world. Okay. Now, if I go back to my project, مش هيدا, I still have hello world. Let's do hello card. لأنه احنا we updated كنا بالworld كنا بالcard. Hello card. So if you realize this component, everything returned from this function is going to be as if we copied it and pasted it here. And this is the concept of components as a conceptual thing. So you had something called props and state. So what are props? I don't want to say hello card. I want to say hello with a name, hello AK. So instead of doing hello AK directly like this, let's have it a bit dynamic. So what we're gonna have, sure.
We go to the app.js
Yeah,
and we create a node
yeah,
and we call it name.
yeah,
It's called AK.
yeah,
So we go back over.
yeah.
We check book.
Okay,
We call it use state
okay,
because we need to make a state called the name prop and give it the body of the state.
yeah. You went one step further than what we're gonna do. Okay, you're talking both about props and state.
Yes.
Let's talk about only props for now and then mention states. So before going into any hooks, in app.js, what was suggested is right. So we can send some things to the components we have. Like, for example, Celsius, okay? And you can send something in here. You can send an icon. You can send whatever you want. The important thing is when you send something that you have to receive it here, okay? So now if I go hello name and I compile, I'll have hello AK. Why? Because I sent it from I sent it with the card. I sent a name. And I didn't just call the card heck. I called the card. I sent it something as well. Yes.
What is the benefit?
I will tell you the benefit of this in 2 minutes. So, does anyone have any question about props?
I'll ask you a question. We're using a functional component. This is a class.
No, this is a function. Look at the arrow. Yeah.
If we wrote not the ES6, we wrote the function. We also used the props inside the parentheses.
You can.
But we put them in curly braces.
Okay, so this is something that in ES6 is called object destructuring. So we can have here something called props like this, and then I'm gonna have props.name. But since I know that I'm gonna have a name coming, so why to say get me all the props and then get me the props.name? Let me get the name from the props and use it directly. So in order to get the keys of an object, which is props. In order to get the keys of this props object, you can destructure it and get whatever you want from inside. Okay, so here I'm gonna have name. Instead of props.name, I'm gonna have name. ليش? Because name, I know that name is inside the props and I only want to get the name. I don't want to get everything. So if I have something else, what else should I have here? Nationality, Lebanese. Then here I'm gonna also get the structured nationality. And then I can add some other things in this div, and let's do some mistakes in order to fix them. So I'm returning a div, correct?
Yes.
And I'm gonna say in an H2, I am from nationality.
Is this similar to constructor?
Hmm?
Similar to
Yeah.
constructor. Let's consider.
How many props can we?
As many as you want.
Mhm.
So
Why do
I have an error. Why? Because one function, one JSX function, can only return one element.
I should put that in a
Yes.
fragment
So you can either put this in a fragment.
or in a div?
Fragment is an empty bracket, and paste, it will work. Now if I save, I am hello AK, I am from Lebanese. يعني I'm Lebanese. Okay?
Okay.
So this is what props are. So are you familiar with arrays?
Kind of.
Kind of. Let's say I have an array. Let's call it cars. Okay? And these cars will contain multiple objects. Okay? So an array is a group of elements with indexes. Yani this one is cars 0, cars 1. So it's like a collection of elements. Okay? So let's say the first car we have, the brand of the car is McLaren. نضرب عطيل. The price, yeah, it's an object. It's an array of objects. The price of the McLaren, let's say, is 1. Okay. ضربنا عطيل. The other one, let's say Mercedes, and the price would be
200,000.
okay.
Can we put this in JSON file?
Yes. Let's have two more cars. One of them is أنا حبيب BMW. Okay.
85,000.
And we will have Ferrari. Okay. All these cars, they have brand and price. Brand and price. They have the weather today, the icon of the weather, the Celsius, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So we have an array of objects. Okay. And this card is supposed not to have name and nationality, right? It's supposed to be a card. So instead of name and nationality, let's get the brand and the price. Yeah. And this card, we're gonna send it, شلنا brand and brand حيكون شي and price كان حيكون شي. instead of doing like brand cars 0 price cars 0 يعني the first element of the ما بعرف شو hello brand price is price. Okay.
Okay.
Now when I save, we will see.
Nothing.
We will not see because we need car 0 dot brand car 0 dot price. ليش؟ لأنه the first element of the array is an object. So we need to go inside the object, get brand. We need to go inside the object, get the price. So make sure that whenever you have an object, you need to go inside of it in order to get the values of the keys.
We use dot.
If it's not an object, if it's like directly like this, then you can directly, it will be an element of the array. So car 0. Yeah. But normally when we're working, we always have arrays, we always have objects, almost always. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah.
But this data, if we want to get this data from the database, not typing the right here.
Yeah, and I wrote them here as ضنية because I'm not gonna get them from an API. You're gonna get them from an API. Okay?
Okay, can you do a demo how to get them from?
So now we have hello McLaren, price is كتير $1000.
If we didn't put the index 0,
You will have an error. No. Let's try. لحظة, let's try. I'm gonna remove 0 and try. It will not take anything because you're not going inside the object or inside the array to get an object.
So we should always give like the initial index like 0.
No. What we will do is what do we normally do if we want to iterate? Okay, like this way, we're gonna have to put 5 cards, and then we're gonna have 1, then we're gonna have 2, but this is too much. نحن we are too lazy. So instead of doing this, instead of doing this, and cars is an array, نستعمل map in English بس. So cars.map, which is a for loop, basically. Map is mapping over an array, is for looping the array. So we go inside and check each index. So we map.
From 0 to?
No, we're not gonna write for loop. We're gonna map instead, which will go inside each of the elements. So each element of this array, we can call it car, refer to it as a car. And since this is inside JSX, it needs to be like this. Okay?
Bracket
Because it's a
Yeah.
JavaScript function inside.
Yes. So let me repeat. If we want to write JavaScript inside the JSX, you can go like this. Same thing we did here. Like we want the variable, so we put it in a brackets. Here I want to do something in JavaScript, so I put brackets. So cars.map, and map is an arrow function, and each element of this array is gonna be called car. It can be X, but نحن, because we are too clean and we write very nice code, very descriptive code, we write car. Okay? So here I'm gonna call the card. Okay? And instead of sending the car 0.brand ما بعرف شو, I'm gonna say car.brand, car.price. Now if I save this, what will happen? Warning. Because this one needs to be returned. So it's like return. And instead of writing return, I can, instead of the brackets, put parentheses. So it will consider it as a returning HTML. Now, if I save, we'll have new warnings. Why? Because I have a semicolon at the end. And we always شو بنعمل? We read the error in line 27 52 parsing error. 27 52 parsing error. Okay?
Line 27 letter.
Yeah. Now we have hello McLaren price is كتير $1000. Hello Mercedes price is 5 مليون. Hello BMW price is 5687994. Hello Ferrari price is ما بعرف. Which is sunny icon. Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
When we send keys title.
Can you say that again, please?
When we send keys title.
We always do that. So we don't have this warning. Let me refresh. And we will have a warning saying that when you want to for loop, when you want to map, you need to have a key. So we put a key. ما يزعل منه. The key can be anything. Let's put the key car.brand, or you can do it in a different way. Instead of explicitly saying key, you can do car virgule index. Oui. Comma. So we either put car فاصلة index to specify that each car will have a different index, or they will, like a map function will calculate it for us. Or we specify the key إذا بدنا here by using the key prop and saying brand dot. هلا since key is a unique thing, we need to have something like brand dot ID. But since we don't have ID, blah blah blah, I'm not gonna put it right now. So let's use the other method. The car index, okay? Now when I save, I have hello McLaren, hello Mercedes, hello BMW, hello Ferrari. No errors, because we are very clean. Okay? Here, you can go with CSS, create cards, like actual cards with background. If I want to show you one of the cards that I created recently, this is a website I'm creating, and this is a car card containing the card image, the name, the price. I also have cards of brands. So image, name, image, name, image, name. Okay?
So this is how you list them.
Yeah, I create an array of all the brands. I create one component called card, brand card. I map over the array of brands, and I send them props.
And if you need, you just copy paste and add one.
Yeah, I only add to the array. It will remap, and it will create a card for it.
Eventually, in app.js, I think we will only have like list components.
We will only have
like components listed, not actually
yes,
divs.
Yes, exactly. Okay. Does anyone have any more questions up until now?
Are we going to use state the order?
Maybe.
Maybe.
You're gonna find out.
Give an example for the picture. Give an example for the image.
Yeah, the challenge now is how to fetch the data, how to get the array of objects of data. Okay, that's one challenge. The other challenge is maybe you will use state to save the data somewhere in the file. Well, that's it.
That's all. That's it.
But basically, you can have, there are multiple functions for arrays other than map, like filter, like reduce, blah, blah, blah. Okay, filter in order to filter the array and only get the object that we want. Okay, let's try it.
So filter is like an if condition.
Yes. So cars.filter filter the car where car.brand بيساوي شو بتساوي؟ مرسيدس.
It would only display this.
Now if we go to, we have errors because we need to put it in H1 H2 أو شيء. Okay, H2
Oh, it's
still have error. Nice.
it should have one more bracket because
No, not yet. car.brand بيساوي Mercedes. Do we have Mercedes like this? Yes. Mercedes. Let's do it in a console log instead of CLG. كمان no. We have a semicolon وما معي خبر. car.brand where car.brand. Okay. No. Anyways, this, if we fix it, is gonna show us only the car where the brand is Mercedes. Okay?
so we can
Because it's an object. Because it's an object, it has, the car has both brand and price. It's telling us that an object cannot be a child of a component, so we need to specify. So this car filter ما بعرف شو dot
brand
0 dot brand. Now we have Mercedes. So get me the element of the array where brand بيساوي Mercedes.
got the player.
Okay, and there are more functions for arrays that you can check on MDN.js, which is the official documentation of JavaScript. MDN. MDN. Yeah. Yeah.
you can use this filter like if humidity cursor display cursor. Yes.
Or get me the elements where it's sunny.
So I can have like study.
Where? Yeah, it's like get me all the elements where element name. Okay. So let's have some questions and end this session. I hope it was a nice one. And hopefully we meet in other sessions.
Yes, what's the short one?
It's 2 hours, being short.
What's so short?
It was long, 2 hours.
We are still hungry for knowledge.
That's nice. So yes, let's have some QA, some questions. Yes.
I thought at first, filter what I want. Like, so when I want to put let's say this, I thought like the only thing that was J on the screen is Mercedes. But what happened is that Mercedes only became an H2 element.
Yeah.
So that's the work of filter.
Filter will remove everything except the condition you have. Yeah, so I said cars.filter, get me where car.brand is Mercedes, and get me the brand.
The rest is already displayed.
Okay, the rest is displayed من ورا هيدي الماب. So okay, I'm gonna comment الماب القديمة. If I save, I go back to React, I'm gonna have Mercedes. But because I had old code and new code, so it was stuck.
Also added the rest.
Yes, but we didn't call the components for it because I just want H to give me the brand name. Okay? Yes.
So I make
Can we not with thou, please? JS. Yeah. If it's a component, it should be JSX. Yeah. Good. Welcome. Thank you. Thank you. Not bad, eh?
Okay, are you gonna send the video on Discord?
Yes, I will.
one last one.